Today we'll start with second module. So far we basically looked at MapReduce HDFS file system and how we can access HDFS file system by writing programs. Primarily it was started with Java, then we said streaming interface that enables programs in other languages. Like we also looked at Python module MRJob, which makes it much easier to make use of Hadoop framework. So far it was all programming, and we all know if we need to do some quick task, rather than writing a large C program, maybe you can write a quick shell script or Windows PowerShell or a simple Python interactive and get the results done, rather than writing a big program. Same way to make use of Hadoop, and the whole core focus of Hadoop is to do large data processing. So is there a scripting language that supports the data processing without writing really much programming languages? So we look at two tools today. One is called a Pig scripting tool, is more known as Pig Latin scripting tool, by which you can write a simple script commands and manipulate and manage data. Second tool we look at is Hive. Most of the developers, programmers are comfortable with using SQL to do any data processing, because any application would require some component of RDBMS, relational database, and hence when one ends up using SQL. So almost all developers are familiar with, and Hadoop we are saying we are doing large data processing. So can a similar syntax be used to deal with data processing Hadoop, and that is provided by Hive or HiSQL language. So essentially, when you look at Peg is general the cell level, Hive is at the data level. So we look at both. So it is a scripting language which enables dealing with data using MapReduce framework. Essentially, what it does is Pig defines transformation of extract, load, transform, and with the data, what we do is either we aggregate the data together, we join one set of data with another, we do sorting, or any other operation they like to do. When we started with our Hadoop ecosystem, if we look at probably lecture 2 or 3, there's a key difference between RDBMS and Hadoop was in a data lake, we put the raw data as it is, and only when we process it, then we define the schema. But in database, schema is defined when you insert the data. So the whole operation of extract, transform, load, or ETL is done at the right time, right on schema, whereas Hadoop, when you want to process, we do on the read. So this Pig is basically used to do same thing. And we can do quick processing, quick working, dealing with our data, and then process that. And we can continue repeating processes, look at as we want. So it's something like what to do shell script or interactive Python or even simple Python programs. The reason Python becomes popular and simpler is with very few lines of code, you can achieve a lot more quick results. Whereas C or Java have a big overhead. Define classes, define all the header files, hash includes, run, compile. It's a whole paraphernalia of things one has to do. In traditional programming languages, where Python, just to say print hello, it prints. But in other language, you have to define, write 10, 15, 20 lines of code. And same thing happens with Pig scripting languages. I recommend you to go through the Pig user guide, getting started. It tells you about how Pig can be used. The book or the syllabus gives you a very overview and limited exposure. So those who like to get into detail, do something, the URL would be good enough and spend time there. So primarily, Pig is a data flow language, and we see the data flows when we look at the data flow in the whole MapReduce framework, from input to the mapper. Mapper, it goes to combiner if it is there, then to shuffle process, then it goes to reducer, and finally we get the output. That's what basically we do. Now Pig supports both, like Python. We can run a batch mode, write a program and say Python x.py, or we can run interactive mode, simply say Python, and we get the prompt and we run one command at a time. So Pig supports both interactive and batch mode. As we discussed last time, debugging in parallel systems becomes much more difficult. So the best approach is to write simple programs, test a program with a small amount of data locally, and if that works, then put onto Hadoop system, because all that Hadoop gives you is big scaling. So Pig supports execution modes specified with the option -x. When you say Pig -x local, that means you are running all Pig commands locally on the machine and not making use of Hadoop cluster. Everything happens locally. And if you are not doing locally, you want to use Hadoop cluster, then you can say MapReduce, Pig X MapReduce, and will actually make use of MapReduce paradigm and work with that. Because we're dealing with huge data processing could be slow, so some optimization has been done by using a Tej framework. And Tej is a Hindi word implying faster, speedier. So MapReduce along with Tej will give you quicker, more optimized results in less time than a typical map. So either you can use local mode or you can use MapReduce mode. So we'll probably look at both and see how they work. As a scripting language, if you see one command at a time at the prompt, then becomes interactive. If you run a script program like Python x.py, that becomes a bash program, and Pig supports both of these, mode interactive as well as batch processing. The Linux Hadoop minimal installation, which has been given, does not have a Pig installation by default, but there are installation instructions given. So I just trying to look at ClusterMonkey and send a question and respond just to keep the size minimum. The author Douglas Eatline did not include Pig and Flume, if you look at this, as part of bundle part of Linux installation, but instructions are there. So those who like to try, you can look at if you look at Hadoop enable installation in root directory, you have directions given, optional Pig Flume. This file called node.txt. So it basically gives you how to install Pig. It clearly says both Pig and Flume are not installed because they are no longer used in generally, and to save space in the virtual mode. But in case you want to install as part of the course, so you can install Apache Pig. All details are given, and you can follow up, define the environment file, do all that need, and you should be using Pig, and which is what I have done on this machine. So I installed Pig. You can find Pig. I define the environment file. Define the path, included the Pig binary into the path, and Pig class path that uses Hadoop script. So that has been done. So in your LHM, Linux Hadoop minimal installation, Pig is not installed by default. So those who want to experiment, try it out, please do install it and then it will work. The process remains the same. Download, install, create the pig.sh environmental file, put into the directory etc profile.d so that anyone logs in will get these environment variables. And if you are doing first time, you don't want to log out and log in, then you can use source that basically means you will define your environmental variable right away there. Now let's look at how to use pig. So first we can use local mode. So pig -x local. -x means which execute mode to use. By default, it starts in info mode. Info means to give you a lot of info messages. If you want to reduce the level of logging messages, you can say -d1 or -d error, or like in Java, you have a log4j property. You can use your option -4, indicating use log4j configuration file, and whatever log levels are there, it will try to follow that. Once you run pig, so this is all interactive mode because we're not running any script. So you'll get a prompt, grunt, and then you run individual commands. So we can basically, I'll follow the example given in the book. It's loading a password file. So the syntax name, load password file, content of password file, and separated by fields are separated by a colon. And the semicolon is important at the end. And I also figured out that a space before and after equal sign is equally important. Otherwise, it at times may give you error. So do that. If you look at the password file as we've seen before, you see 7 fields, login name, encrypted password, user ID, group ID, the description, then you have the home directory, and then you have the login set. So you have the same field like you see SSHD, description is privilege separated SSH. This is basically like a comment. And then you have the what is called the home directory, which is not there, and then login cell and so on. As being no login means you can't log in into this account. That's basically what it means. Run things up, and now when you load this file, now each field separated by colon would be identified as $0, $1, $2, and so on and so forth. So if you want to process individual field, you can see for each name is what you got here, generate $0. That means take the $0 field and put it into UID. And when you say dump UID, so dump is a command that will display. Load is the command that loads from the data file. This could be, if you're running in local mode, this will be local file. If you are running in MapReduce mode, this would be HDFS file system file. Dump is dump onto the console and so on, and then you can quit. So we can quickly look at how does it really will work. I can say pig -x local. You'll see it will give a lot of information messages, which you end up seeing. Main info. So if I were to run only with var, I'll get less number of messages, mostly rewarding level, some mandatory, but otherwise I'll be done. Now I'll get the gun prompt. So after this prompt, that becomes interactive mode. So let me load password to file. I can say name is equal to load. File name has to be given in some quotes. If you don't give code, it will not need to give an error. Load file name using basically to separate things. I'm saying we'll separate by the colon. And this semicolon is important. Now file is loaded. I want to look at individual fields. If I just want to see what is there in name, I can say dump name. If I don't give a semicolon, some commands will work, but most commands expect name to be given, semicolon to be given. So you see all those names are basically created, dump it out. If I want to get individual field, let's say I want to get only user IDs. So I can say UID is equal to for each name is the variable, generate dollar user ID is field number 3, $3, and I should be fine. If I say dump UID, to give messages, I see all the UIDs. And same and so forth to quit, and it will basically come out. Simple interactive way of dealing with pig. Try with any other file, and that should still be fine. If you want to use pig with MapReduce mode, indicate that I'm executing with MapReduce mode. And since when load, it has to be from user HDFS place, HDFS file system. So we'll give a file name user. So this put the file password into user HDFS file system, and then we load user HDFS password using pig storage, and then the rest of the process would remain the same. If you want to give different name to fields as ID, you can do that, or $0 would be fine. And later will tell you, well, load time itself, you can indicate what are the fields and what the field types are. And that's the way things will basically work. But since we are running MapReduce, it will work with the load from the HDFS file system, process from there, and then it will take a little more while to get to the result. If I want to process, get the result and store into the file back, so like load reads from the file, store puts back into the file, but once a store field into a directory name, this is always directory name. So anything you give, it will create a directory id.out in the same way like my HDFS work, success and the part 0, part 1, something of that kind, and it will be created. So let's look at that part as well, and then we can proceed. So I'll probably I'll copy the file into HDFS file system. Then I will run with MapReduce. So pig -x MapReduce. I have to get minimum messages. Now I can say name is equal to load. And this time I have to give now file system from the HDFS file system. So user HDFS password using since it is coming from HDFS, it got attained a contact Hadoop, get the job done. And now we can again want to look at the UIDs. UIDs, I can say for each, our variable was name. Name, generate $3. This is what we said. Now I can say dump. It is contacting the Hadoop. Things are running there. It will launch its job. As you can see, the new application job is launched. And then you see a normal process of starting a mapper, reducer, and then getting your response back. So you probably see that it slowly comes up, You can see the Azure Hadoop map job submit, and it's continuously following with that. Number of splits one, only one input file process, it will launch only one job. And you finally get the output, what we expected there. And then you can, if I want to store, I can say store UIDs into, how to give directory name, IDs. So to create a directory IDs into the HDFS file system, because we are using the loaded the file from HDFS, we're running MapReduce. So what will create, it will create the file into HDFS, and let's look at, once it is done, we'll see that process as well. So make sure if you are running in local mode, it will happen locally. If you are running in MapReduce mode, it will be created. So now we can look at HDFS, DFS, IDS. Sorry. I think there seems to be some error which we have created. Error during parsing column 1. Let's say we made an error. UID is fine, so let me see. Maybe I did backspace, something went wrong, so let me store it again, run that. It will take a while. Now I can say store. But since you are doing MapReduce, so normally this is good for testing, but you normally do that with large amount of data. So for any testing, do locally, but for large amount of data, use Hadoop, so you can test it out and then invoke this Hadoop ecosystem for the large amount of processing. So application is complete, is succeeded, and we should see the directory being created with the output there. So let's quit. We should see a directory being there. We have UIDs.out. And we see again file, empty file called success, and then the actual name, you can see empty file called success. And the file, this contains all the UIDs. So if I were to cat it, I'll get all the UIDs here. Sorry, we missed 100. And that is how primarily the way Pig works. If you want to run Pig through scripting, then you create a script file, like you create a .py Python script, or you create shell script. Same way, put everything into the script file, whatever we did, and run the script. So the way invoke is, if I'm doing this, I'm invoking locally. Locally means you're loading from local file. If you are doing MapReduce, make sure that the load should be from MapReduce. And when you run it, everything happens same way. So we can run out locally as well, and things would work out equally well there as well. So we can look at that as well. Let's say what the file is. We can run through MapReduce. I'll run locally and make sure things work out great. So I am copying locally, not from MapReduce. So I'll run locally. I can say pig and make sure I don't have a directory login names. No, I don't have, so I can run pig. And it will create a directory locally called login names, as we'll see when things happen. So login.names. So I should have a directory login.names created locally because I ran the local mode. So ls minus l login.names, and we again have, so it's follow the same syntax as you follow Hadoop, whether you work locally or outside. And if you see, you'll have the same answers. You can see what the names you are getting as the login name of the user. So that way you can try it out, work yourself. Some more details on the pig scripting. Want to do a comment, supports both multi-line comment and single-line comment. Single-line comment with the dash dash, multi-line comment typical C-like syntax is. So we looked at few statements like load. We looked at dump to display on the console, load from a file, store, create a directory, and then write into the file system. Then we looked at the for each, for iteration, go over all the fields of a column, the values of a column, and continuously. Then there are some other commands like filter, which is not in the book. But if you want to get, I want to get UIDs beyond certain value, all the UIDs greater than 1000 or 100, then you can do filter command. So rather than for each, it will basically end up using filter and other stuff there. We looked at only one function. As a scripting language, you have some basic data types. So integer, long, float, double. String is a character array, byte array. The difference between character and byte array is basically printable character versus normal byte array. And then you have a complex data type, which is tuple. Tuple is ordered set of fields. Then you have a bag, which is unordered collection of tuples. And then you have a map, which is basically hashing what we see, key value pair, and so on, so forth. Now, as I said, when you're loading time, you can, at the load time itself, you can specify what the field names are, or you can even say, like uname is the char array, encrypt is char array, UID is a int, GID is a int, description is a char array, and so on and so forth, so to identify the time. And then, rather than using $0, $1, I can actually use the name generate. When I use a generate, I can use the uname rather than using the $0, $1. So using a name is much better rather than using $0 because order might change. So better would be to use names. You know explicitly what you are doing, and that's the way it would basically work. Just to give an example, how to do that part, giving it different types. So we have like password 7 fields. So we say load password using pig storage diluted by colon. First field is uname, it is a char array. Second field encrypted password char array. Third field is user ID, which is int. Fourth field is group ID, which is again int, and so on and so forth. And that's the way it basically works. And pretty much follow the same syntax. ID, generate, uname, something of that kind. And I talked about the filter command. So if you want to look at, like UID is the third field, I'm interested only those UID which are 1000 or above. So I can say filter names by UID greater than this, and I'll get user group more than 1000, and will basically get that. And that way you can use. So your book does not contain the filter command. It's a basic command you should be able to use and work with. Basically give you a very brief exposure of the pig tool. Next tool we look at is Apache Hive. Pig is a very powerful rich language. There are other functions available, split, union, distincts, though you will not find in the exam. So up to you if you're interested, you can follow it up, explore and learn yourself. Next to look at is Apache Hive. As you said, most of the developers are very comfortable using the SQL language. They're familiar with it. They would like to use process data in Hadoop using a language which is similar to SQL, and that is what's provided by the Hive. You can details, you can get hive.apache.org. It was basically started at Facebook to process large amount of user data and logs, and because it was very, very large data cannot be put in RDBMS, and that is where all these open source tools basically came up. Hadoop was started at Yahoo, and it took up other places. As a Hive came from Facebook, and you can see similar stuff there. So who uses Hive? It is basically those people, data analysts, developers who are comfortable using SQL. So it's basically built on top of using Hadoop platform, which is the HDFS file system, works with that. And primarily, whatever SQL syntax like do group summarization, it almost follows the same syntax. You don't have to mug up, do something. And you have done your DBMS course in probably fourth semester or fifth semester, and you should revive those, and same thing should come very handy to you now when using Apache Hive. So language becomes very similar to SQL, so it's called Hive SQL, and it works on HDFS data directly, but following a syntax of SQL stuff. Hadoop is meant for basically low latency and high data processing job, and that is what you basically deal with. Do not take as a replacement of your traditional RDBMS, because RDMS at the time of putting data that goes into a structured way, write on a schema. Whereas the Hadoop is the Hive is to work on the data files on the Azure file system. So let's look at what primary benefits Hadoop gives you. As you said, given the data in Hadoop, you can query managing, give us some kind of restrictor to the data, like it is a password, the plain simple file, but you can treat it like a different fields and work with that. So you can define the concept of table, rows, schema, and that's what we do with database. And that is the whole notion is called ETL, extract, transform, and load. Extract means get the information, filter respective data, transform, let's say, anytime you load data, read data from text file, is always going to be a string. You want to convert and to filter it out, or you have a Unix timestamp, you want to convert into weekday or some other number, then there's a transformation, and then load into schema, and then work with it. So given a data format, you can define the own structure at the processing time, and Hadoop uses direct structure to partition data, whereas you have tables, columns to define that. And we have seen all our file systems, Hadoop is basically flat files that follow directory hierarchical structure. All these files are stored in HDFS or maybe even HBase. HBase is another component which we'll probably study tomorrow. Very brief overview. HBase is a NoSQL database as you look at. To interact with Hadoop, mostly you can do command line, or you can also do web UI through program. You can do JDBC connectivity or command line. What will interact for our basic understanding, we are going to use command line and understand that part. So Hadoop comes with this basic called Derby installation, which is the open source, lightweight SQL database, and that was basically used. Because when I'm using SQL language, it assumes underlying database, and it basically by default it uses Derby, which comes in. The advantage Hadoop gives me is that I don't have to learn a new language because we are all familiar with SQL, so we use the same thing. But because we are using Hadoop ecosystem, and Hadoop primarily requires MapReduce framework. So while doing my data processing, I should be able to add my custom mappers and reducers in my data processing job. And that's the main benefit. So in SQL query, for transformation, for processing, you can use your own mapper and reducer and still work with the data. And that's the benefit Hive provides you. And because of this custom mapper reducers, I can give any flexibility, any customization to my data processing. And that means I can write custom queries and I can primarily look at how the query is to be run and do whatever task I like to do. Hive comes pre-installed with our Linux Hadoop minimal installation. But those who want to install freshly, again, download it, untar it, create a file etc profile.d, define the environment variable for Hive, Hive home, put as part of the path, and define the Hadoop class so that you're going to use the Hadoop system. Since it's going to work with the HDFS file system, you need area and temp, and you need the directory called warehouse by default. So by default, it uses the directories. If you want to give a different name, you can go to the configuration setup and change it there. But by default, so to create these two files, /tmp and user Hive warehouse, there's a typo error there. It should be user, not user. Create the directory and then give permission, group permission, because we're creating it under HDFS. So this will be owned by HDFS. So we would like to give these permissions to group mode because Hive could write it. Hive is a program, and then you should be fine. So let's look at basic example of Hive, like what we do in our MySQL. We'll do same thing. If we were to create table, we basically say create table, table name, field name, followed by semicolon, table would be created. To run Hive, first use Hive. To give Hive prompt, like MySQL, when you run, you get MySQL, and then things work out. To create table, you can describe table, and every time give a command, if it is a command is accepted, it says okay, and then give you time taken, and then gives a prompt. You can show tables, you can describe tables, you can drop tables, you can delete tables, delete meaning delete contents from the table. So very much the same syntax as what we use in our normal the SQL mode. So I can quickly look at, run things up and say the Hive would use. Hive is pre-installed, so I don't have to install it. I'm running under my single node, so it may take a little while, but that should be fine. Once I get a prompt, I'll get a Hive prompt, and then I can run things up. It's connected to Hadoop cluster. You can say Hive ID, and now I can run my command. I can say create table or any name, whatever, XYZ, and then I can define my fields, field 1 int, field 2 string, and whatever, and this table would be created. What happened? Did I? Oh, typo error there, create. There's no E there, so I need to make sure that I give a right. So I create a table, table would be created. Now we can look at show table, and then using Hive we'll be able to load data into it. It's a syntax okay, table created. To describe the two fields integer, whatever tables you created to show all those tables, and so on. And if I remove, I can say drop table. So very much similar to what we do in our SQL, follow the same syntax. Now we look at do actual data processing. That means I should be able to load data into my SQL mode. So I basically will look at some file, what is given for easy understanding. So in the chapter 7, section Apache High, there's a file called sample.log. I'll probably show you sample.log. Let's say if I can show you. So this is chapter 7, section Apache Hive. You have a file called sample.log. And you see the file, first field is the date, then time, then third field, fourth is the severity level, which is indicating information, debug, fatal, warn, trace, error, whatever, and then remaining stuff. And that is what basically this file is. So we'll work with this file. So I've given a few samples you can look at. So we are saying because this is a log, so we say create table logs. We define 7 fields, and all of them are a string because log basically contains a string. And then we need to indicate loading from the file, how it is the data basically taken from there, that is delimited, and fields are delimited by tab, and then we use same thing to load. So we need to indicate by default, if you don't give this, it will use different delimiters. So it's better to be very explicit, define field delimitations by tab character and work with that. And then again, you continue, then you say once your table is created, you want to load data into the table. So I'm saying load data locally from taken path sample.log and put into the table logs. And this will load the data into the table. And once table is loaded, you'll get again same successful time response. And now you can do the processing from the data. Like what you do, select, same query, select field name, you have defined the 5 fields, T1, T2, T3, select T4, and we're saying severity, count, look at total, how many such fields are there, and we're saying group by T4. I'm looking at T4 only with this in case of error because all severity were started with a value, the left square bracket as you might have seen, field 1, field 2, field 3, and field 4. So saying look at all this starts with like this. It's very similar to my SQL syntax and run things up and things work out. All these commands, I also put it in a file called pig-hive command, and you can run through there. I'll probably run through there rather than typing it out, and that's the way things would really work out. And it will basically keep saying number of mappers, reducers. You want to limit the number of reducers, it gives you all the messages. You can see that, and once it's done, start a job, and sometime it will basically do the output. So mappers, reducers, it load the file, and then you get this stuff. And will continue in basically that mode. So as I said, I had, and this file, pig-hive commands, I already copied into our the teams. So you can look it from there as well, which is available. So I'll copy from there, already done that. There's a pig, let me use hive, which I've done. Now I'll create the table. So let me create the table. So line is not complete, it will basically give you a prompt. Then I would say these fields. So I'm saying when the data is to be loaded, how the data is formatted, specify that. And once you give a semicolon, that line would be over. So there is some error, it's not taking this comma. So table is created. Now I should be able to load data. Let me load data. I make sure I have a sample log into my local directory. No. Okay, it is in sample data directory, so I'll take from there. So this would be right into the table logs. Now data would be loaded, so you can run command select count star, and then you get the count, whatever the values are. So it is actually working on the HDFS file system, but you'll get the responses like an SQL. And that is what basically Hive gives you. I give a very simple command, and you can look at other jobs as well. Let it complete and see. We'll do more processing on that part. So map, reduce, follow the same process, and then things will work out. Because the single user machine is a bit slow, but just wait, we should get the answers. Reduce it down, and you can see total number of records is 1387, which you can see from the file. If we were to look at sample.log, if I were to go, you'll probably see total, whatever the processing has been done. It doesn't look. You see more number because it is splitting there. So if I were to, so this is actually single line. That shows the 2 lines. So probably the total number of records are that many, and you can see from here total number of lines that will come from there. Let me continue with other commands. I created the table. And then if I want to do group by, I can also do the same thing. So with each severity, again, to launch the job, continue the process, and things will basically continue. So let's move the lecture and we'll complete. We'll come back to here. So essentially, you can define more details. Book also gives you another detail, data sources, movie lens. It basically, the data file gives you kind of a rating, and this is again available as part of the program, chapter 7. So this is AML 1 million records, and this is 100,000 records. And we're looking at the file called udata. If you were to look at so 4 fields, user ID, movie ID, rating, and Unix timestamp when this record was created. So just simply 4 fields, user ID, movie ID, rating, and Unix timestamp. And we like to convert this to week of the day from a timestamp, and this will do using Python program. So we can write a Python program, and we see using the Python program, how do we convert data, writing a simple example of custom mapper. So it's a simple Python program, and file has basically 4 fields, user ID, movie ID, rating, and Unix time. When you read from a text file, everything is a string. We are saying we want to convert the last one to basically Unix time, which is a 9-digit value. So saying use date time from time, and ISO weekday. Typically, if you look at date time, weekday start from 0 to 6. ISO weekday is 1 to 7. So we like to see things from ISO weekday 1 to 7. And then you basically do a print tab, join with the tab, all the 4 fields, and this is the basic program we like to use to do custom processing. This simple example to say how we can write using SQL, you can use our custom mapper to process the data. So create a table U data, user ID, this is the raw data as it is. User ID isn't small fields, but there's a larger field, so it may not come in int because int is for 32 bits, so it may not work. So hence you use as a string, and then we use our Python script to convert this Unix timestamp to ISO weekday. We define same thing, format terminated by tab character, is stored as text file, which is default. Then load the data, load data local in path. This is U data or wherever overwrite into table U data. And then we can do whatever query commands we want to do, continue with that. And then let us look at how do we make use of our actual Python program to run things up. So you need data new, data what we loaded from the file, data new which will create table after processing it. So in the U data, we had first 3 fields as int, and weekday in Unix time was basically string. Now you want to convert this into int using ISO weekday 127. So we'll basically do Python program, say add my file weekday mapper, and now we do transform. When you enter into table U data new, we're saying insert into U data new, select from the previous table. So select, transform these 4 fields using my Python script from my table U data, which is basically the 4 fields. These 4 fields are given user ID, movie ID, rating, and weekday. These are the 4 fields I created: user ID, movie ID, rating, and weekday. The original file was user ID, movie ID, rating, and Unix time. When I run this, it will basically convert data and things will work out. And then I can do my queries, run things up. So I have a weekday group by, and that's the way it will basically work. When you run things up, you'll basically get the output like this. So I'm not going to run online because I'm running out of time, out of the class. So I would say all these data samples are available by the author. I uploaded them into MS Teams. So run through yourself. I also given you the basic command file in case you want to see that on the peak and all these commands. Run from there and then experience yourself and be comfortable with high examples. Like SQL, you can also run commands from the cell directly script. So I can say hi minus e drop table, it will drop the table, or whatever script you want to run, you can run directly, very similar to SQL. So Hive is basically scripting language like SQL, which works on Hadoop data. So just to summarize, we looked at Pig scripting tool, and we also looked at Hive scripting tool, Hive for SQL processing, Pig for normal scripting, and that's what it. Tomorrow, I'll probably take 2 lectures and cover the 4 tools. We'll look at Flume, we'll look at Scoop, and we'll look at some other tools as well. So any questions? Please do feel free to ask. If no, then we'll basically terminate the class.